everybody, Jim Phillips here. Welcome to another episode of Java with Jim. As always, I appreciate you being here. Not sure where this is going to go. I have this thought that's kind of going through my head that I just thought I would see what comes out, what kind of information that I'm getting that I can share with you. But it's something that I've thought about for a while, and it's this whole idea of there's so much information out there about getting to the truth of who we are. There's so many people who are saying that we need to get to the truth of who we are, that you've got to live from your truth. You've got to understand your truth. And the question always arises, well, what is that? What does that mean that I've got to get to my truth, that I've got to live from my truth? Does it mean that we're supposed to find our life purpose and live from that purpose? Does that mean that what I do as my career is what I'm intended to do? Or does it mean that my truth is that whatever I'm most passionate about, or whatever invokes the most amount of passion within me, is the truth of who I am? Or is it that it is the truth of who I am, that being, that entity within this physical body that is having the experience of life through me and as me? And when I hear what people say about this whole idea of getting to your truth, living from your truth, the realization of true self, all of these terms, everyone says you have to do the work. And so I started thinking about that word work, and that doesn't make me feel necessarily good, because when I think of the word work, I think it's going to be difficult, challenging. I think it's going to be something that I'm not necessarily going to want to do. And then when you hear some people talk about the amount of work that they did to get to whatever their degree of understanding is about who they are and what they're all about, some say it takes years, some say it's spontaneous, and others say that it takes months and weeks and whatever. So I decided to look up the word work. And I want to share a couple of things with you that came up. And this is from the Merriam Dictionary. And then I also looked up some of the synonyms for work, which again, I thought those were interesting too. So the whole idea of work, and maybe this is one of the challenges with most of us, and why we are unwilling to go through the necessary process of gaining that realization or gaining that understanding of the truth of who we are, so that we can in fact live from it. I also believe that many of us don't believe that there's anything other than this physical body that's here, and this is us, and this is a one and done life, and whatever we do, we do, whatever we don't, we don't, whatever we accomplish, we do. I mean, all of that. People may assume that this is it. I don't happen to be one of those people. So here's what I got from work. To perform or carry through a task requiring sustained effort or continuous repeated operation. Well, I don't like the idea of sustained effort. I mean, to me, that sounds like it's going to be something that's going to be challenging or difficult. The next one on here, to exert oneself physically or mentally, especially in sustained effort, for a purpose or under compulsion or necessity. Another one is to produce a desired effect or result, and that would be success. And I agree with that to a certain extent. That's not the physical aspect of it. That's just a different way of looking at it, at the definition of work. But here's another one that I thought was really interesting, and this one to me is probably the one that would be the one that we'd be most likely to accept as the definition, and would also be the definition that would be more likely for us to not do what we think we need to do to get to that greater understanding of the truth of who we are. To make way slowly and with difficulty, move or progress laboriously. So if somebody said that you could get to the truth of who you are, and that was the definition they were using, how likely are you to want to undergo that process? I would imagine most of us would not want to do that. So then I looked up some other synonyms of work. Labor, travail, toil. And the definition of toil is interesting. That implies prolonged and fatiguing labor. Again, something you want to undertake. Drudgery, another word, suggests dull and irksome labor. Is that something that you want to undergo? And then grind. I think we've all been through the grind, and that's just sustained. That's the sustained effort that we were talking about earlier. Well, then I decided to look up, so what are some antonyms of work? And honestly, I couldn't find a whole lot. So I made up my own, because to me, this is what it means when I am not working, when I'm not going through this drudgery, when I'm not going through this exertion of effort. Rest, relax, peace, non-exertion. So what do we hear, or what is always suggested to us that we need to do if we want to gain this greater understanding? Meditation. So what do we do when we meditate? We sit quiet. We don't move around, although we can have a working meditation, although that kind of meditation is typically done when we're doing something that brings us joy, that allows us to experience that higher level emotions like joy and like love and like gratitude. It's a little bit different. But if you're meditating, you're quiet, you're still, you're not exerting any effort. And then the other words that come to mind when I think about, well, what is it I do, or what is it that I believe that is in my best interest to do, to go through this process of this greater understanding, getting to the truth of who I am? What is a better way, or what do I believe is the way? Now, this is my opinion, it doesn't have to be yours. It's allow. So when you think of allow, what does that feel like? What kind of energy do you feel? Do you feel a letting go? Do you feel a de-stressing? It's just allow, let be. And if we allow the truth of who we are to be experienced and expressed, well, then we'll get that greater understanding, because absolutely everything that we do, everything that life presents to us, is an opportunity for us to have that experience and expression of the truth of who we are. It's up to us to allow it to happen. So, now having said that, if allow is the word, if that's really all we need to do, there really isn't any exertion with that. So what does allow mean? It means to get out of our own way. It means to not judge. It means to not push up against obstacles. It means surrender, but it doesn't mean surrender in terms of giving up. To me, it means surrender in the way of giving in, and that's giving into the truth of who we are, giving into the allowing of gaining that greater understanding and experience and expression of who we are, allowing that truth to be what comes forward. It's also allowing the untruth, those thoughts and beliefs we hold about ourselves that are not true. It's about allowing them to fall away, to no longer be there, to no longer encumber us, to no longer encase us. I mean, that's really what I thought about when I was thinking about allowing it to fall away, like we're encased with all of this untruth. And it's about letting that crack, letting it fall away, letting it reveal what is contained within, which is the truth of who we are. Another part of this is the willingness. And maybe this takes a little bit of effort. I don't think it does. I think it's choice. I think it's just a basic decision we made or make. Are you willing to allow the process to be carried out without effort? Are you willing to get out of your own way? Are you willing to let those things that do not serve you, those thoughts, those beliefs, in some cases people, in many cases circumstances, are you willing to allow those to fall away, to, I was going to say, to be replaced by the ideas, the information, the truth of who you are? But it's not even that it's being replaced, because the truth of who you are, that greater understanding already exists. It's not replacing it. It's there. You're just not allowing it. You're not recognizing it. You're not experiencing it, which is the ultimate way that we have that greater understanding, is through the experience of that truth of who we are. So as you consider who you are, what you're all about, what life is all about, do you consider that you have to work to get there? Or is what I'm sharing right now, does that seem a little bit easier? And maybe because it seems easier, maybe there isn't as much validity to it. Maybe you feel that, no, that can't possibly be. How could it be that easy to get to my truth? Don't I have to do the work? Don't I have to toil? Don't I have to have drudgery? It's just too simple. But life is simple. The greater understanding of who we are is simple. because it already exists. It is who we are. It is what resides in this physical body. It is what's having the experience and is expressing through this physical body. And our purpose for being here is the progressive realization of that truth of who we are. And it doesn't take hard work, unless we say it takes hard work, unless we feel that it takes hard work, or until we let go of the idea that hard work is necessary, because it can't be that simple. But I'm just here to suggest that it can be that simple. Allow the truth of who you are to be what it experiences and expresses through this physical body as you. Allow that experience of your true self to be how you go through life, how you experience life, how you interact with other people. Be willing to have that experience of that truth of who you are. I hope this makes sense to you. I hope you enjoyed that message. If you have any questions on it, any comments, please feel free to post them wherever you watch this video. As I say, every time that I put these messages out there, it's my opinion, it's based on my experience, it's based on my understanding. It doesn't mean that you have to grab a hold of it and live with it as it is the truth. It's just my understanding. It's what I have come to through my allowing, through my willingness to allow the truth of who I believe myself to be how I experience and express in life. I appreciate you. I look forward to next time. I'm Jim Phillips. You've seen Java with Jim. Take care and be well. Bye now.